welcome to another episode of the Miles Offside podcast, where we talk a little bit of Rocket League and a whole lot of Rocket League.
Yeah!
My name is Oscar Puente, also known as Footy from Afar, and with me, as always, are my teammates. On the Mop Rocket League squad, we got Chuck Bailey and Mr. Wonder Goal himself, super producer Ian Stimson. Lads. Ian, you scored a worldie this morning.
I am so bad at Rocket League that was a total fluke. I was just flying through the air and happened to hit the ball.
Yeah, what was his XG numbers, Oscar?
Low. It was low.
He's just spraying from all over the place.
He took a bicycle kick from his own penalty box and was like, I did a goal! I was like, okay, sure.
It was an own goal.
Calm down.
Yeah, wrong net, bud. But no, we've been having fun playing. I've never played video games with either of you before. Chuck, I think we played FIFA like once, like 4 years ago.
Maybe. I feel like we're underplaying this as well because without going for the normal intros, obviously Mr. 100%, yes, we all know that. I'm always here. That's my contribution. But
stop
producer,
talking about it,
guys, please. Super producer, and also, after last week, super bloody father.
Oh,
Ian Stimson with the Dad of the Year award all over the Twitters. An absolutely fantastic journey we were all taken on.
Yeah, Ian, why don't you tell our listeners, in case anybody missed it or doesn't watch the BBC and Loose Women and other morning shows.
What kind of rock are you guys living under?
Honestly, I've been all over the media.
The biggest story in all the UK this week. Nothing else is going on. Mr. Simpson, tell the people.
Big ups.
Tell the people.
BBC. Talk Sport. Loose Women.
Yeah, I went viral and not in a Rona way. It was lovely. Yeah, so I set up... Well, you guys originally seeded the idea by saying that for Findlay's Carabao Cup final with Peterborough, I should get suited and booted and get the beers in. And, yeah, from that seed, and Mighty Oak did grow. It was. I started suggesting to Findlay that we should maybe sort of do some sort of Sky Sports type thing for his cup final. And it all went a bit crazy from there. So, yeah, I've been on TalkSport. Featured on BBC News.
Not the only thing featured on BBC News. The one and only Miles Offside podcast got a mention.
Yeah, managed to get... I was on a call with the journalist.
Oh, please mention my podcast.
Yeah,
please.
Pretty much begging. I was just like, if you could crowbar in a reference to the podcast, that'd be amazing. God bless her, she did.
That's nice.
I was like, that's amazing. But yeah, been all over the media. Can't get away from me.
And how is the boy, is he still swinging his dick about Peterborough? You know what I mean? Going around to all the birds saying, yes, I'm the one, I won the Carabao Cup. I brought glory back to Peterborough.
Well,
his asbestos sponsorship money is through the roof.
They're building a statue to him outside the stadium.
Yeah, you'd say that kid's on fire, but it would no longer be applicable because he cannot be set on fire now.
He was... really stretching the asbestos stuff there. He was unlivable on the day because every 5 minutes he was going, how many people have watched my goal now? How many people have watched my goal now? It was, it's all about the numbers, that boy. But
what's that to 10,000 likes, right? Though, like it's like
the original tweet. The original tweet that started the thread is like 2,000 retweets and about 10,000 likes. But I mean, when you talk about people seeing like the Arrival video that we shot and his goal that I took off the game, you're talking sort of 60, 70,000. I haven't actually checked. It might be more.
Must be more. Yeah. No, it was on like 70,000 when I looked about 5 days ago.
Yeah.
But it's mad, and it was really nice because obviously me and Oscar and Dave Mateo and a few other, obviously all the Patreons and some of the other listeners were really bigging it up. But it was so mad that I was checking everything, I was checking every post, every retweet, and it was so rare to see something on the internet where there wasn't a dickhead anywhere.
Oh, that was it.
It was all positive.
It was just everyone going, this has made me so happy. Oh my God, what a great father. Can I get his phone number? Oh shit, that's what Phil Collins is doing now. Like, there were so many just positives, and it was just really nice. And I think that's probably why everyone, like for me, and I'm probably Oscar the same, like why we loved it beyond just the fact that we like you're all right.
Yeah.
But it was just such a nice bloody thing. And good work, mate. Bloody good work.
I mean, what did I say that morning? I was like, if we can get Findlay to meet a posh player or get a retweet from Dara or something, I was like, we're going to have successful.
And that came early doors. And
that happened real quick, yeah.
150 retweets, and it was Peterborough. We were already just throwing it about.
Well, because all 150 were me and you tweeting at the BBC, at Darren McAnthony, at Posh
Yeah,
Official.
I've got to thank you boys because I was pretty busy with the thread and it was going off very quickly, as you say. But you guys were sort of tweeting anyone famous, all companies involved.
Yeah. I tweeted at Amazon, I think. I tweeted at BuzzFeed. I was like, BuzzFeed, this seems right up your alley. Get on this shit.
I really, really wanted a retweet from Skoda. Just that was in the end. Once we got Peterborough, tick. Dara, tick. All right, it's Skoda next.
But it had that perfect combination of like obviously wholesome and nice because you're doing something for your kid, but then like the videos were genuinely funny and had pretty good production quality for like a little bit that you were doing. And then once people got in, my favorite was that one dude in the car. Do you know him? Is that someone you know?
Nope.
Okay, he was amazing.
He was
like filmed
fantastic.
himself driving around, being like, I didn't want to get my hopes up, but I feel like this is our year. Normally, Peterborough would be happy to just be in the final, but Finley, it's Finley up front, like, good Stimson number 9. We're gonna do it. Today's our day.
That was fantastic.
I was like, this fucking guy's the best.
Off the top of my head, I think his name, like on Twitter, is FPL Strategist.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the one. I mean, two great videos with genuinely good acting.
Yes,
he was
he
absolutely
He did a post match
brilliant.
as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he was like on the verge of tears. I was like, this guy.
It's absolutely brilliant. Someone signed him up. And then Max Rushton had to try and spoil it by taking away from Finley with a video in his Cambridge top. What an absolute scumbag. In his Cambridge top saying that UEFA had stripped Finley of the cup because of it, spent too much pocket money on FIFA and financial fair play. Fucking Max Rushton with his anti-Stimpson Peterborough agenda. Just awful.
Financial doping's financial doping, mate.
So you're on this side, okay?
Yeah, well, it is what it is, unfortunately. So, good on the boy.
After Chelsea's steep penalty that secretly ended up saving the club, I have to come down on the side of the law here.
And somehow ended up with Chelsea netting about 200 million quid. Fantastic.
I know. That transfer ban, man. Like, now we have Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech. It sounds like Kai Havertz is on his way, maybe, hopefully. Like,
worked out for you.
We are having the best summer.
I mean, but unfortunately, on the other side, guys, I didn't mention that I had a test 2 days ago, and I tested positive.
What for, Chuck?
Bloody football fever.
Oh,
I've only got a positive result for football fever because it's back in 2 bloody days.
48 hours from now, I will literally be watching a Premier League match.
Yeah, this is going to drop on Wednesday, the day when two games. I mean, one in the afternoon. Who's heard of that on a Wednesday afternoon? No one.
On a Wednesday afternoon?
No one.
What's that?
Ridiculous.
A 3 o'clock Saturday game on telly? Yes. What's
Yes,
that?
please.
7:45 on Saturday on BBC? Yes, please. What's that? More games on Amazon Prime? Yes, please. Oh, Sky free to air? Yes, please. Football every day. All the football. Football. More than you can eat. All you can eat football. 100% positive. This is so good because Love Island comes back today, the Australian one as well, and it can piss off.
Ian, give him a minute. He's almost done. You can tell he's breathing a little harder. Chuck, bring it home. Come on, baby.
A sheen of sweat.
So we are obviously in a very good mood because this is a good week for the first time in like 3 months or something. But we are going to, the point of this episode is going to be football's in 48 hours. Let's catch people up. What's going on in the league? Where do things stand? It's been a long fucking time since anybody thought about the Premier League, except for simulated FIFA matches, whether they be children playing or myself watching them at 4 a.m.
Yeah, this is true. 164 days since Brighton last won a competitive football match.
There you go.
Stats.
So I did a bunch of research, as is my wont, and we're just going to kind of take it through with some numbers and some conversations about where we're at. We'll get everybody caught up right in time for the return of the league. So let's just jump right into it.
As usual, if you are a Burnley or a Brighton or Watford or West Ham fan, probably just turn off now. Because we won't have anything nice to say.
No, that's not fair. If you're a Burnley fan, don't worry. I'm not even going to mention your team. I didn't bother looking anything up about you.
No news is good news.
Honestly. All right, well, let's just jump into it then. Liverpool, top of the table. Here's where we stand. They had 4 losses in their last 6 matches. The unbeaten season was broken. They also got knocked out of the Champions League and the FA Cup, all within like a couple of weeks of lockdown.
Oh yeah, they were terribly out of form. I forgot about that.
Horrible. Yeah. 4 losses in their last 6 matches after like being unreasonably overperforming their numbers. So they currently stand in first place with 82 points. That's 25 ahead of second place. They need 6 points to clinch the title, which could happen against Man City.
Should we just knock it on the head? Why have we bothered restarting? Just give it to them.
I mean, we know Liverpool aren't going to win the league, so...
Oh,
they are 99% to win, according to 538.
So you're saying 1%?
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance. There's a chance. And notable people returning from injury post-lockdown, we have Jordan Henderson and Alisson back between the sticks.
That's actually a properly serious...
Yeah, they're winning the league.
Yeah, that's a big... Alisson's injury is the reason they got knocked out of the FA Cup and the Champions League. Like,
Alisson's, Alisson's injuries have been directly linked to them not playing that well this year. Like, they should be further ahead.
Yeah.
No, they really shouldn't, actually. They're 22 points above the expectation.
If you watch the games when Adrian was in goal, yes, they should.
Well, fine. But their expected points are 60. They are on 82 actual fucking points. They're 22 above the expectation.
Okay, but their expected points are 3 points above what Man City have got now, so it's still fine.
Their expected points are 3, yes, but their expected points are 3 behind City's expected points. Strap in, boys! We're back!
Oh dear, that's the real quiz.
I did, though, to take a second away, I made a cool model that I'm excited about because it's the only like mathy thing I've done recently that has nothing to do with my job. And I came up with a way using XG to rate fixtures according to an opponent's likelihood of conceding and their own likelihood of scoring, as well as the team's blah, 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 blah. A lot of math numbers happened. I have a number now that rates their remaining schedule, and Liverpool have the second easiest run-in.
The second easiest?
Second easiest, yes. Out of about 30, but it goes from negative to positive, negative meaning bad, positive meaning good. They have a positive 17 schedule, which is the second highest.
What does the range go to and from, so as we can judge that?
Yeah, because there won't be an arbitrary unit of measurement, because this is Oscar.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
call it the
negative
Oscar.
30
It's on a
positive
0
30.
to 13 scale.
No, we can call it the Oscar. That's fine.
There's already something called an Oscar. Be quite confusing, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, but not a unit of measurement. I mean,
What if, like, how else
right,
do you,
the Puente.
you measure the
Let's
number
call it- okay,
of
the
Academy
Puente.
orders?
No,
That's bridges. That's just bridges.
I can keep more than one thing in my... No, I can't keep more than one thing
No,
in my
you
head at the
can't,
same
no.
time. No, but that's fine. Okay, the Puente. So they're 17 positive Puente. That's too
Sure,
close to
yes.
points, isn't it?
They have the second best schedule. That's really what it is.
Expected Puentes.
Made that way more complicated.
We're back, baby!
So, Chuck, how many games will it take them to secure the title with 6 points remaining? 6 combined losses or wins between them and City.
So, first game, Everton, win. Second game, Palace at Anfield, Palace win.
What's the game after that one?
Man City,
Man
Liverpool.
City.
Man City win. Gerrard comes out of retirement, puts a shirt on, falls over.
Slips. Yep.
Chelsea win the league.
Chelsea are not, I think, mathematically capable of winning the league, but I'll go with it. Let's go. I have a scenario for you guys that just got me fully erect under this camera right now. You can't see, but trust.
But it did move up, yeah.
Liverpool draw a few games, lose to City, and then the second wave happens sooner than expected and football gets called off again. They abandon the season because this time around there's just no way to get it in.
And Peterborough win the Carabao Cup because Finley won it on FIFA.
If only.
Yeah, I think that could genuinely happen because there's been, obviously it's very small sample sizes, but something that's come out of the Bundesliga games is that the actual home field advantage percentage of wins has dropped massively. It's like a 20-odd point drop. So it's mad. So Palace playing at Anfield, I mean, we're shit at home anyway, so it makes no difference.
Yeah, if anything, it's good for Palace.
Exactly. But, yeah, Liverpool are still going to win the league.
Only if they get it in time. I've got a suspicion that the Premier League just want to get Liverpool as champions, and they're hoping that happens in a couple of games, and be able to relegate people without arguments, and then they don't care. So it's just, I just think they're trying to get as much over the line as they can. I mean, at the minute, all the testing's been good, but I mean, you only need one team to go, one postponement, and like Oscar says, there's no time. There's just no time. So you only need a match or two to get postponed, and the whole thing's got to go.
I mean, there was the Norwich player who has now tested positive, but under the government rules, I mean, luckily because Norwich are shit, they never get near any of the opposition team anyway. But there was no direct interaction apparently with anyone else within 2 meters for 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So, happy days.
Fine.
But the problem is there's still, I'm sure Oscar will come into it, like the race for Europe, which, there's a lot of teams falling over each other in this race. But it is so tight still that
and relegation. There's 7 teams.
Yeah, it's ridiculous pipe dream, but it's still feasible that Palace could get Europe, with not that many games to make up on teams that are much above them, right? Because I think we're 1 point behind Arsenal and 2 points behind Tottenham, and there's a couple of other teams dotted around about the same. So what you said, Ian, makes sense that there could be, they want to just get it wrapped up, but if Liverpool don't win the next 2 games, basically there's going to be Premier League execs knocking on their door going, what the fuck are you doing? Exactly. We really want this just to be over.
Yeah.
You only need
definitely.
You only need positive cases to ramp up a little bit, and they're going to be fucking sweating.
So many red cards for Man City going into that Liverpool match. There's going to be just they're running out like 12-year-olds because everybody gets sent off in the match before. The fix is in, boys. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Speaking of Man City, let's move on because Liverpool. Any last words on Liverpool? Really, they're good, overrated, but deserve the title probably.
Got rid of all their players in my FPL team.
All right. Well, let's move on to City then. Man City, going into the lockdown, had 5 wins in 6, which is good, but notably a loss to Man United, which they hate.
Yeah.
They are on 57 points in second place, 4 ahead of Leicester, and as I mentioned before, 25 back from Liverpool. They have no percentages according to 538 in any direction. They're not allowed to make the Champions League, although if they are, they will.
If they are, they will.
If they are allowed to, they will make it. Yeah, because Leicester are 95%, so City are definitely higher than that. But but they're not allowed to currently, so they have nothing to play for at all. They're 6 points below their expectation.
Well, you say that, but the appeal's gone through now, so that's all done. All the parties were happy with the way it was handled by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So Man City are happy with what they put forward and what they got back so far. UEFA would be as well. And then the ruling on that comes in the second half of July. So
Wow. So we're just waiting for a verdict, and we've got to wait a month.
A month, yeah.
Fuck.
Well, that's how long it takes the offshore accounts to process the funds that have been transferred into UEFA officials.
It's
allegedly.
Money laundering is a long business.
It takes a while. You have to air dry it, and the bills never look as crisp as they did. Is that what you mean by money laundering?
Well, the irony is now, because of all the coronavirus, is you probably should launder your money.
Wash your money, guys.
Just generally.
I've always done that. Is that not
no.
supposed to?
You've been paranoid for a long time.
You do is money laundering, then there's laundering your money. It's a very different thing.
Oh, I see. Okay. The big storyline for City, I guess, other than obviously the appeal, which we'll keep an eye on and we'll keep everybody updated with, is the return of Laporte, Sané, and Stones from injury. They are one of the 3 teams, really, who are 4 teams? 3 or 4 teams, whatever. They're really happy that they got a random break, obviously not because of the reason of it, but it is good for them to get these players back for the run-in, especially Sané, who has not featured, I don't think, all season. Laporte played half a game because they tried to rush him back.
Yeah.
And then was injured again, and now it doesn't matter.
He did a stupid tackle. He lunged in on someone and then pulled something again. And you were just, the whole time you watched it happen, you're like, you're just going to injure yourself, and you're off injured. But that's a huge, huge thing for them.
Yeah, him and Sané, less... more detrimental than beneficial. John Stones is also back, but, they could always just bench him and that won't matter.
Yeah. I mean, he played well with Laporte, next to Laporte.
Yes, he did. I'm making jokes. I wanted him at Chelsea. Yeah. I'm just salty that he didn't sign for us. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I don't have much to say about City. They're kind of stuck in that weird limbo of nothing.
Well, it's the kind of, with the new rules coming back of being allowed 5 substitutes, and you're allowed to name 9 players on the bench?
Yes, I believe 9 is correct. Yeah.
Yes. Like Pep Roulette, does it happen even more? Do we get screwed? Are there certain players? Are there certain players that will still play? Because you got people like David Silva, who is his captain and is leaving. Like he said, he's going completely at the end of this season. He's got however many games it is now, 10. How many does he play? Does he play a lot? Do they try to actually use some young players or just some players that they're going to buy? Do they get Leroy Sané in the shop window? Do they not play him that much because they want to sell him to Bayern or whoever, It's a very complicated time.
I do think that a lot of clubs, and Man City is one of them for sure, are going to treat this. We mentioned this months ago and weeks ago when we talked about it, but if it came back, I think a lot of clubs are going to treat this like a preseason. Man City have nothing to play for.
No, I think they'd still like Pep is a big winner. Like he just wants to win everything, right?
Sure, but if they can not injure players and get people back in shape for potentially next season, if that does happen, that would be good. Ease Sané in, get some minutes, do some rotation, give a little farewell tour to David Silva. I guess what I'm saying is if you have them in your fantasy team for the double game week, don't consider having them much longer than that until we see really what the picture is. Or leave them in your lineup, and then if they get rotated, they get rotated. That's just kind of the deal with Pep always anyway.
Well, yeah, that they're going to get rotated, so it's whether you know because of more subs that there's more of a chance of them coming in for both, you know what I mean? That's why you can get more of them because there's a higher chance that they will name a strong bench and make those subs at least.
Yeah, it's the same for if we're talking fantasy football. I mean, it's the same for every other team. So I don't really see what the issue is.
That's true.
You just want good players, don't you?
I would think that Liverpool, until they secure the title, are going to run their A squad out aggressively and really, really push to have those. And I think the teams that are in with stuff to play for, like Chelsea, Man United, Wolves, and Sheffield, and the relegation teams, are going to put strong teams out.
I also honestly think Liverpool won't suddenly take their foot off the gas. They've got a chance to be a sort of record-breaking season. I mean, they're
true. Yeah.
They're competitive. These are competitive people. We're going to see Liverpool go all out to get individual records, team records, wherever possible. They're gonna go all out, I'm sure. I mean, they've not got the Champions League to worry about. They've not got anything. They're gonna go all out. I'm sure of it. Klopp's competitive. You've got a team of people who are elite athletes. They're gonna want to win spectacularly. I'm sure of that.
I think you need to be careful with injuries, though, right? Even with the extra, you see that in the German league. Even with the extra substitutes, there's already a huge wave of people pulling muscles and hamstring apocalypse over
accepted, yeah. But I just think we're not going to see what some people seem to think we're going to see of a second 11 coming out. It's
no. I think it's going to be a lot more 8 guys and 3 guys you're
Fair
surprised
enough,
by, kind of thing. Yeah. Speaking of teams with kinda, sorta something to play for, but not really. Next up, we have Leicester. Leicester, in their 5 matches going into the lockdown, had 2 draws, 2 losses, and a win, so not great form.
No, I remember,
to the point where I read this story and it made me highly entertained. Brendan Rodgers required that they watch the Last Dance Michael Jordan sports documentary to get their mentality correct.
That's so Brent. I love it.
I'm surprised Brendan Rodgers didn't record his own version of it to pretend that he was Michael Jordan.
That's just for masturbating. He doesn't share that with anybody.
Do you reckon he printed off a whole file and called it The Last Dance as well and just sent it out to all the players? Yeah, amazing.
They are in second place on 53 points, but 5 ahead of their expectation, which should be 40. That expectation would have them in 6th.
It's Jamie Vardy, mate. Jamie Vardy. He's on for the Golden Boot. Still with 19 this year. So that's kind of his own personal we'd want to. Because didn't he... something about an injury? No, maybe not.
He was kind of injured in the week before, but he had a knock. He was a doubt, and now he's fully healthy.
Yeah, because they gave up the lead to Man City, like you just said, from, what was it, 2 losses, 2 draws and a win was it their last 5. That's less than good.
But they are 95% to make the Champions League, which is great. And going back to that schedule thing I was talking about, they have a decent run-in. Man City's schedule is the top one by far.
Oh, is it? Okay.
They have a 28 rating. The next best was Liverpool at a 17. So Man City's schedule is outrageous.
I mean, they are also not to pick holes in the system or whatever, but the best team just always has the best schedule because they just should beat everyone
that
anyway,
is true. Mm-hmm.
To an extent.
Yes, I mean, the model does show that too. The top schedules are the teams that are good because they don't really struggle against anybody, which is what the data is going to show. It's more like the mid teams, like a Man United or an Arsenal or a Tottenham. But we'll get to those guys. But City has the best one. Leicester with a 6.4, so it's still a positive number, which means it's a better schedule than not.
Yep.
But not massively great. So that's something to keep an eye on because they're only 5 ahead of Chelsea and 8 ahead of Man United. So they are catchable, but they're 95% to make the Champions League. Again, I think that includes you only need 5th for the Champions League. If it was you only need 4th, there's a better chance that they'd get caught. But
yeah.
Notable injury, Ricardo Pereira is still out. So whoever his backup is going to be cheap and playing for FPL purposes. Because he did his knee very shortly before the lockdown. It was a pretty recent injury, and he's out.
That's interesting because he's important to them, and that if you're saying he did, I must admit I didn't know when he was injured, but if you're saying that was relatively recent, I mean their form.
I think it was his ACL or his knee exploded or something.
So he did. Yeah.
He was a doubt to even start next season.
Yeah, he changes how they defend. So yeah, okay.
No, and he's one of the most creative fullbacks in the league, and that's saying a lot in a league with a lot of very good creative attacking fullbacks. So that's a huge loss for them. Potentially something to keep an eye on, but otherwise, not much doing with Leicester. They're pretty comfortably in that 3rd place, which takes us to who.
Oh God, here we go.
Here we go. They're back. They're back on Sunday, so they have a little bit of extra rest before the one, the only Chelsea Football Club, baby.
Right.
2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss in their last 5, although that included getting wrecked by Bayern in the first leg of the Champions League tie. But they are on 48 points in 4th. Their expectation would have them on 56 points in 3rd, so basically exactly switched with Leicester. So they're 8 points off that pace, but they are 79% to make the Champions League. Obviously, that number, if City are allowed to go to the Champions League, goes down significantly because then they would be in a 2-horse race with Man United.
Mm-hmm.
But as of now, they're a comfortable 79%, and they have the 4th easiest run-in at a 13. No one particularly injured, although Callum and Conte are question marks given their training situations.
Is Conte still refusing basically to train?
No, he's back in training with the full team, and he played in the warm-up match against QPR yesterday. He didn't play the full 90, but he played. So he's around, for sure.
Yeah, he must be available then.
But he's a little behind in terms of the, fitness. So he might not play in the first couple of matches, but he's there. But also, and he was injured right before as well as Callum, so they do technically count as returning.
Mm-hmm.
Even a 3/4 fit Kante is fine.
It's phenomenal. Absolutely.
It's
fine.
Although we have so much midfield depth. So listen to all these returning players. Kovacic had been out for a while before the break. He's back.
Yeah.
Conte is back. Tammy had been out for a while, and he's back. We had been playing Giroud in important matches. Callum is back, Ruben is back, and Pulisic, who hasn't played since January, is back.
Pulisic still won't play. You know what Lampard's like with him? He'll just be like, yeah, go over there, do some running,
Keep
mate.
him hungry.
Just keeping him motivated.
No, I'm keeping him hungry. Keep feeding him hot dogs.
Those are signings, man. Kovacic, Conte, Tammy, Pulisic, Ruben, and Callum Hudson-Odoi all returning from long-term injuries. On top of the players we already have. It's going to be a good fucking time to be a Chelsea fan for these next weeks.
It sounds tasty. Yeah, it sounds tasty. It really does.
I gotta say, that squad, running a full squad, I posted on my Twitter a couple of weeks ago, our starting 11 and then our backup 11. And we talked about this going into the season. We have a crazy good squad with a fully good enough to, make the Europa League probably, especially this year, B squad. So I don't worry too much about the fixture congestion, especially with everybody healthy.
No.
And the mood around the club is just super positive.
Transfer ban, man. Transfer ban. Best thing to ever happen.
Yeah.
Secretly, yes.
I'm pretty sure someone go back and check. I'm pretty sure I said that at the time. That'd be great.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just super excited to watch Chelsea. I got nothing else to say other than Ruben! Fuck yeah! I am washing all my Chelsea jerseys because I will be doing nothing but wearing Chelsea jerseys for the next 6 weeks every day.
So much football.
I have enough if I keep them clean. Ruben and Pulisic. I don't know. What else you got? Nothing else. Timo Werner coming in the offseason. Hakim Ziyech coming in the offseason. Let's fucking do this. Chelsea had been doing that thing where they were between 75 to 80% to make the Champions League for weeks at a time because they would win, then they would lose. But when they lost, the other teams in the conversation would also lose. And it just kind of kept happening and perpetuating. So,
yeah, because
picking right back up where we left off.
Everyone is shit.
Because everyone is shit. Speaking of, next up in the table, we have Manchester United at 5th place, 3 points behind Chelsea. But remember, 5th place as of now does make the Champions League. So maybe the better comparison is that they are 2 points clear of everyone else. They are the 4th best team in the expectation, currently underperforming by 7 points. They would, in expectation, be on 52. They are 75% to make the Champions League. Again, that's because of the 5th place thing. If City get that ban revoked, then Chelsea and Man United are basically in a 2-horse race. And they also have 2 very notable returning from injuries people, and that is Paul Pogba and Marcus fucking MVP of the world and the lockdown and everything else, Rashford.
Never had a bad word to say about him.
Do we stand Rashford now? Are we like Rashford
Fully.
fans? I started that weird joke going on Twitter for weeks where I would just pick like boring tweets and in all caps shout like, "Not now, Marcus."
He was doing the most vanilla fucking footballer tweets you could think
like,
of.
hey, how is everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, just literally that was one of them.
Hi guys, what have you been doing? And then it was almost like he wanted someone to ask of like, oh, we're not really doing much. What are you doing, Marcus? I'm feeding the fucking nation. I'm feeding all the kids because the government came out and said, "Ooh, footballers, what are you doing?" So I slapped my dick on the counter and went, "Bitch, what are you fucking doing?" Oh, nothing? Recognise, Marcus Rashford is a fucking hero.
I mean,
we stand.
I thought we were going to have to do some sort of apology to Marcus Rashford because, we'd been slightly taking the piss out of him, and then it turns out he's fucking brilliant. But what we're saying is that we motivated him to do better.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, it was all us. Mm-hmm.
Because literally he goes from asking how everyone's doing to writing a letter to MPs saying, feed your fucking school kids.
Feed
It was
kids.
like,
Feed
fuck me.
kids. Feed. Why is there any pushback from this? Why is there a problem? Why are there
Basic
people
shit.
saying the government shouldn't do it? Why, go up to this child and say, you can't eat today. Go do it. Go do it, you bastards. You can't, can you? You pricks. Go stand next to your statues, you fucking wankers.
Good man. There we go. So, we love Marcus Rashford now. But,
Speaking of statues, do we know if Zlatan is like,
Oh.
were they just ahead of the game with that, or
good point.
unrelated?
Oh,
Unrelated.
I hadn't even thought of that. Ain't nobody fucking defending that statue.
Yeah, no one was protecting
Trendsetters,
it.
man. Trendsetters.
No
Those guys,
toilet seats.
cutting the feet off.
If you start to see toilet seats on statues around, then you know the Swedes were there.
That's a proper protest.
Yeah.
That's definitely my favorite thing was the toilet seat. Because that means someone took it off their toilet at home or went to like Home Depot or whatever the British or
It'd be
Swedish version
IKEA, wouldn't it?
is.
It'd just be IKEA.
Yeah.
They probably put it together themselves.
Of course, yeah.
Probably put their toilet seat together themselves. They could probably understand the instructions because,
It was a flat pack statue to start with, so they just knocked a toilet seat up.
That's the best thing about Man United.
One notable thing that I have in my notes that I forgot to say.
Go on
Sorry
then.
to interrupt.
They do have good fixtures.
In their last 5, they had 3 wins and 2 draws, but they completed the league double over both Man City and Chelsea. So they were coming into the break with quite a bit of form. And the question is, will they be able to pick that up again?
Let's not forget this Man United side are always like they can only beat teams that are above them. So they only beat Newcastle way back because Newcastle went above them by going 1-0 ahead, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden
Good
they went,
recall.
oh shit, we beat teams that are above us, and then they just went, kapow.
Yep. But, I mean, Bruno Fernandes has changed how they play. I genuinely think Man United have got a lot to be positive about.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
It is annoying, but I
came
have.
so close to putting 3 Man United players in my FPL team.
Ooh, no, not that.
Yeah, well, because so the only reason I've kept Aubameyang in because just I can't bear to get rid of him. Even just the fact that Arsenal are playing Brighton, never mind double fixture against Man City or whatever. But like, I want him straight out for Rashford, but then Tony Martial is always great when Rashford's back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Bruno Fernandes.
Martial in the midfield is the move.
So I was like, I could easily, just without even thinking, I was like, holy shit, I've got 3 Man United players, but they're actually good.
I don't think it's a bad shout at all.
I don't know who their like director of football or general manager or whatever they call it
There is none. Famously, that is the problem. It is Ollie Solskjaer and Edward Woodward.
I was going to say Woodward runs the show and he's CEO, isn't he, or something? Yeah.
Last summer they went out and spent $80 million on Harry Maguire and however much on Wan-Bissaka, and they have
$50 billion.
There you go.
Baby.
About as much as we spent on Timo Werner. And they went from a horrible defense to like the second or third best in the league on underlying numbers. And then in the winter, they were like, you know what we need? We need a midfielder who can pass and create. And they got Bruno Fernandes, who doesn't do much else, but he does do passing and creating really well. And it worked. It's crazy when you identify a problem, and then you go out and sign someone that will fix that problem, and then that problem is fixed. Arsenal and Tottenham should take fucking notes.
No, they shouldn't.
Arsenal's like, what if we sign a 29-year-old number 10? Will that help us? We should probably sign another winger. That'll help us.
Why not?
Oh.
Just exasperation.
It's good to be back. I'm just happy, man.
I like when you're getting exhausted about things that you should just be laughing about.
That was a sigh of happiness.
You're almost getting angry about Tottenham and Arsenal being shit, and I question you. I question why you're here.
Apparently that was a happy sigh.
It was a happy sigh, yes. It was just like
I'm not sure it came across.
So was that you skipping Wolves and Sheffield United?
No.
Because that feels unfair, because the two teams that actually, I mean, there's, once you look at the top half of the table, there's a couple of teams that deserve to be there. And
Yes.
Lord knows Tottenham and Arsenal aren't. But Wolves and Sheffield United definitely deserve mentions.
Yes, Wolves especially. Shout out Wolves, who have the 5th highest. They're ahead of Leicester on expected points. So they're really, They're good. They're just good. And they're only 2 points short of Man United, so they could very much still be in that Champions League conversation. 538 has them only at 23% because Man United's underlying numbers are so good, and the schedule is not particularly kind to Wolves.
I mean, I done a thing, and I used, it's the very crude system of using just the, what Fantasy Premier League, right? What they use for their, fixture difficulty.
Yeah.
And if you put those together, three teams are joint first for the easiest, in brackets, schedules: Manchester United, Tottenham, and Wolves.
Tottenham, really? Oh, well, I guess because it assumes that they're better than people, which they are not.
Which they are probably not.
No. But yeah, actually, since you mentioned it, Man United have an even better run-in than Chelsea, so that's the only slightly concerning thing. They have the 3rd best run-in according to my model as well. But Wolves, they have an okay run-in, but not the best. Yeah, I don't know. I have nothing to say about Wolves. We like Mr. Beefy Boy himself.
Mr. Beefy Boy. We like to see fun teams. We
Yes,
like to
they
see
are fun.
Wolves. Wolves are a fun team. Sheffield United are a fun team, as much as I might have said that they'd be shit. But let's not go into that.
I mean, let's exactly go into that. Speaking of Sheffield United, they're next. They are also on 43 points, 2 behind Man United. Less favorable in the underlying numbers. They are 10th unexpected on 39 points. And they are only 11% to make the Champions League, even though, again, they're level on points with Wolves. And given my model that takes into account their actual quality of play and whatnot, they have a negative 0.8 for their remaining schedule. So almost even, pretty neutral, but technically negative. But I think the most notable thing about Sheffield, other than their crazy system that we love, the Magic Roundabout or whatever we're calling it at this point, I forgot.
Inverted fullbacks.
Yes. There you go. They had only 2 defeats in their last 13 matches played before the break.
Oh,
That's the thing. They went into the break in
Red hot.
really good form.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have been gutted to lose that momentum.
And those 2 defeats were against Man City and Liverpool, so no shame in that.
Yeah, fully expected. Yeah, I mean, God, their season's been unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And with, like you say, a play system that's been really interesting to watch and has not been found out. Like, usually, if a team comes in with a slightly different way of playing, half a season gets found out. Not, apparently not.
And they play 2 defenders up front, and they've conceded the second least amount of goals in the league. How does that work?
I mean, you've got to have
Ian, tell me
how does it work? I don't know.
How do they occupy the space at the opposite end of the pitch?
But you have to have players with a level of intelligence that maybe a lot of players wouldn't have, because it's like the sort of, I'm not comparing them to 1970s Holland or whatever, but you're looking at a total football scenario where everybody needs to know everyone's job. incredibly well so as they can either do it for them if they're bombing up the field or whatever. You know what I mean? You've got to have a level of intelligence if you're playing in a system like Sheffield United's. I'm not comparing it to 1970s Holland, but I'm saying you have got to have a level of intelligence, and they've showed it so far.
You heard it here first, folks. Sheffield United are better than 70s Holland team.
Chris Wilder shits on Johan Cruyff.
Genius.
Yeah, Johan Cruyff is an overrated prick, and Baldock...
Johan Cruyff is a poor man's Chris Wilder.
Jesus Christ.
Do you think it's fear? Is it fear? Chris Wilder's quite a scary man, so it's just like
it's just fear.
You need to be there. Fucking get there.
Do that, you right, sorry.
Not often you get the bleep. Yeah.
Lundstrom for the FPL? You guys bringing him back in?
Straight in.
Straight in.
Right. I'm not. Because...
Forget about how much he didn't play and how much he didn't do anything
for
about the last 15
he didn't play.
weeks.
Yeah.
Forget
he wasn't
about it.
being picked. He wasn't being picked before the break, so it's not an option.
Well,
for me.
he scored 2 goals the other day, so there you go.
Good for him.
Get him in. 4.9. He's not. He doesn't even count as a defender, does he? Really? Like every time I go to put him in the team, I'm like, oh, I really shouldn't have 3 Sheffield United defenders. I'm like, actually, he's basically a forward.
He's not a defender, yeah.
He's a forward.
Look, I don't think it's a bad decision putting him in. What I'm saying is that I'm bench boosting week 1. I don't want any doubts. So I'm trying to just eliminate anyone who might...
2 games, mate. 2 games in 3 days. He's playing some.
He probably is, yeah. He probably is.
He's going to score a hat-trick and you're going to be so
Almost
mad.
definitely, and I'm going to be so fucking salty about it.
So mad.
Yeah.
And those of us free-hitting and having him for the double are going to be very happy. Very happy.
Tottenham and Arsenal? Tottenham, Arsenal?
Yeah,
No?
Tottenham. Let's move on to Tottenham then. Tottenham are currently in 8th place on 41 points. They are still somehow overperforming despite that because their expectation has them on 38 points in 12th. They are 10% to make the Champions League, so I guess still technically in the conversation. They're only 4 points behind Man United, but they're not good. So that kind of throws a wrench in that. They have a pretty neutral schedule at 0.2 remaining, but going into the break, they had 3 losses in a row, and 2 of those were against Chelsea and against Wolves. They could have been in 3rd place as close to like 3 weeks before, right? If they had beaten Chelsea, they would have been in 3rd place.
They were starting to put a little bit of something together, but they weren't great. But you wonder now, because we were saying before about Mourinho, right? With the way he plays it is he's not going to play youth, he's not going to support players, he'll leave people out to dry and go, look, you need to spend all this money, give me this money. So where every other team is currently saying, oh, we're going to play this young player and these young players and they're all part of the main squad and get in, what happens with Tottenham?
Well,
do you think that happens? Do you think or do you think he just still runs out the same 11, only makes 2 substitutions because he's like, these other players aren't even worth using, and then just gets injury.
Well, you mentioned injuries. They actually have, other than Chelsea, arguably the best or second best list of people coming back from long-term injuries or missing for various reasons pre-break, because they are getting back Harry Kane, Son, Sissoko, and Bergwijn, who were all out for various reasons long-term going into the break, and now they're fine. So those are some very, very good names, and also Sissoko.
Nice. It's going to be interesting to see Kane now he's had some sort of break.
His first break in his whole career, bro.
Yeah, literally. This is his first time he's had a couple of months off. It's going to be really interesting to see if he still plays as a defensive midfielder like he has been.
Injured. So
yeah, I accept that, but still.
He's had lots of injury breaks.
They were talking about him potentially being fit for the start of the Euros. All I'm saying is...
Are you trying to say this is why football's coming back early, is because you need to get Harry Kane back in, because this is the only way they can rush him back before his other injury that then takes him up to Euro 2020 rescheduled for next year.
For Euro 2021, yeah, exactly.
Is that the conspiracy theory you're starting, Ian?
Although it's still Euro 2020 because they've already made all the merch, so it's still Euro 2020.
No, it's just everywhere. There'll just be like a little bit of electrical tape over it, just as a one.
No, seriously, they're still calling it Euro 2020 next year.
That is 100% a real thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's still going to be branded as 2020, and I'm convinced it's just because there's a warehouse of T-shirts and shit.
Oh, 100%. That's why. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good. Right.
And they don't want to have to pay the slave labour to do it again, or
I mean,
well, look, paying anything.
the whole world might just decide to do 2020 over again when at December 31st we're like, no, it's not 2021. Fuck it. None of that shit counted.
Where's the person who changes all the calendars? There must be someone who can just go, you know what, I'm not putting a 1 in that column. Let's
Fuck it off.
do it again.
Yeah.
Let's Y2K this shit.
Is Harry Kane going to be good though?
No.
Or is he done? Is he like fully the injuries have just ruined him?
I've always been in the done camp, but this is going to be interesting just to see after a couple of months break. It is going to be interesting, but I personally think knee, ankle, it's all just done.
And how many fucking times with the ankle over and over and over again? Like he has no explosiveness left. Oh god, this is so nice. I'm talking shit about Harry Kane. Yes. Oh, I'm back, baby.
Speaking about talking shit.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Harry Kane's still gonna suck, but let's go on. 9th place.
Adam P. Back as the human punching bag.
As much as I want to jump right into the punches, which I will be there in a second, but I should say they had 8 unbeaten going into the break and 3 wins on the bounce. So they were picking up a bit of form to get back into the conversation.
Hashtag Invincibles.
9th is a huge improvement from where they were before that little run. Flying high, Arsenal, all the way up to 9th place. Really good for them.
Still won the same number of games as Newcastle.
They are on 40 points. In the expectation, 37. The expectation has them on 14th.
Oh my god.
But they are still somehow 5% to make the Champions League. And again, partially that's because of the 4th place thing. I don't really know. They have a negative 4.2 schedule rating from me, which is 13th. So they do not have a good run-in coming up at all. But they are getting Torreira and Tierney back. Tierney could help their defense, ? If that's even a possible thing. I don't know. And Torreira's really good, I gotta say. As far as Arsenal players go, the ones that I would take at Chelsea are few and far between. But Torreira's real good.
He's a little fucking pitbull. Like, he's an animal.
Yeah.
The sort of thing that's been missing from Arsenal for years, yeah.
It's just a shame that what will inevitably happen is because we looked at like some of the contracts that are expiring this year because of the weirdness and who potentially couldn't play. And there's not really much notable. But next year, like Aubameyang's contract is up and a couple of other Arsenal players. And you can just see all of these players just disappearing on a free again. Maybe, I don't know, to like Man United or to Chelsea and just being way better.
Look, man, they don't miss that guy who went to Juventus whose name I'm forgetting at all.
Aaron Ramsey.
Aaron Ramsey, there it is.
Aaron Ramsey, who's supposedly coming back to play for Tottenham.
Is he really? I hadn't heard that. That would be
Rumors.
Delightful. Oh, man.
Juicy rumour.
Very juicy.
That'd be hilarious.
A juicy dangler there.
La, 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 la.
Which means, I mean, unless there's anything else to say about Arsenal, but they're not going to do shit and they suck.
Who's the Arsenal manager again?
Arteta,
yes. He actually is like the reason that the lockdown happened, right? Basically.
Yeah, he caught the Rona.
He caught the Rona, and that was the first time that the UK government was like, oh wait, this is not good. A Premier League manager has it? We should do something about this.
Mikel Arteta is the linchpin in this whole, in the chronology. Like when in 50 years' time, when I'm having to go in to speak to my great-grandchildren's class about this is what happened in 2020, there'll be a chronology that comes up and it will say, and this is when a Premier League manager said they had it, and they went, oh shit, maybe we should do something.
I mean, it was like hours after him saying he had it that they were like, oh fuck, season's off. Cancel.
The day before that, they were going, no, it's all going to be fine. It's all going to go ahead. Like, and then he got it. I like that idea, Chuck, that you'll be talking about that as a historical thing. Like
when our grandparents had to come in and talk to us about getting evacuated.
Yeah. So Mikel Arteta is Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, right.
There's going to be a hipster, like, post-punk band called Mikel Arteta in 30 years.
Yeah, I think so. Do you wanna play for Arsenal?
No.
The answer's no.
No.
Speaking of London clubs that no one wants to play for and are overperforming their numbers.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yes.
How dare you?
Do you want to play for Palace?
I mean, I'd like to. In spirit, yes. In talent, not so much.
Not so much. All right, well, Crystal Palace currently in 11th place, but still somehow, despite being in 11th place, in the conversation,
Only
vaguely,
9 points off Chelsea in 4th.
Yes, and only 6 points off 5th, so potentially in that Champions League conversation. Although the 538 model and my model don't love them, because their expectation is 30 points, so they're 9 above. They're 15th in the expectation, which would have them in the relegation conversation. And their remaining schedule is horrendous.
12 points clear.
It is atrocious.
12 points clear.
Oh, they travel to Liverpool, Wolves, and Leicester, and then they face at home Chelsea, Man United, and Tottenham.
Win. Lost. Draw. Win.
Called it.
Let's go.
Chuck, how are you feeling about Palace?
Forgotten what it's like, but the hope that kills you. We're only 9 points off, I think, our best Premier League finish ever.
Lovely.
So that's
highly doable.
That's 3 wins, and we play Bournemouth, Burnley, and I think we've still got to play Villa again. So that's 3. We're going to beat Liverpool at Anfield next week. Chelsea...
It's at Selhurst, which I'll never forget the name of that stadium again.
We'll lose. And then some other teams will play, and then we'll qualify for Europe, and then European competitions will be suspended because of the second spike of coronavirus.
Right. So, real talk, do you think that you guys will make the Europa League?
No!
Okay.
You're insane. The problem is now is that you're at a state where you, like, all we've got, because we're in this second half season, like, it's kind of like the Emirates Cup of the Premier League. Like, it's just 9 games, it's really small, no one really knows what's going to happen, and probably doesn't really mean anything because it's going to get cancelled. But, like, we can't really base what teams were like before because you have no idea. Because once you're in, like, the to and fro of the season, you know who's blessed with injury, like, who's cursed with injury, who's got good form, who's playing. Like, now everything's reset. Because I don't know how long the players have all been in, like, actual full training for. Is it like a week and a half, 2 weeks?
Well, full contact training, yeah.
2 weeks, I think, is
about
right.
10
So
days
it's like,
or so,
no wonder there's tons of injuries, and our team is, like, the oldest in the league. So
you're getting Schlupp back, though. That's good, right? Schlupp, Sacco, and Tompkins returning. Of those, Schlupp is the only one that's, like, particularly useful.
I mean, like, we've got all of our players back, but inevitably, by the end of the season, Sacco, Tompkins, and Scott Dam will all be injured. And then it would just be Martin Kelly running about on his own.
No love for Benteke scoring goals, bang hot in form right before the break?
Who was that against? Was it Arsenal?
I don't know. Somebody.
Thanks.
You guys had 3 wins on the bounce going into the break.
Yeah, mate. What was that? Best form? Yeah, we should have won the league. If you took it, you should have taken that.
Palace for
that
Europe.
was what they would have done. Is taken the last 3 games, and that's who decides who wins the league, and we would have won it. Oh God, yeah, we could. Yeah, we'll get Europe. Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Why not?
And it'll be good because it's like Wilfried Zaha's last dance because he's basically gone. Rumours to PSG.
I could see it. Why not?
Madness, but yeah, I'm down with that.
Didn't Johan Kabay go play for them from you guys too?
We got him from PSG. He went from Newcastle to PSG.
He went from Newcastle, right.
From Newcastle to PSG, and then from PSG to us, and then I think he was playing in Saudi Arabia, but now he's a beautiful man, and he shares my birthday. But yeah, Wilfried Zaha to PSG, like, I'd accept any other, like, country of team. Like, he can play for whoever, not really bothered. But I don't want to see him playing against us, and I want us to get lots of money. Ding!
Hodgson is already talking about playing a lot of young players. I think he's going to treat it a bit like a pre-season. I mean,
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those players that, you know, have been calling out for, but we don't even make substitutes when there's 3, so I don't think he's going to make any more, maybe. But there's been a lot of players that they need to play now because they've invested so much money in the academy now. Like, they've broken ground and torn down a ton of old stuff to try and increase the kind of draw of that, because at the minute, in terms of South London, Palace is the biggest club round there, but from very young, a lot of players are more drawn to like a Chelsea academy or other ones because just the infrastructure and everything you've got there is way better. Not necessarily that a lot of players that are there play for Chelsea. Obviously, you do have those that go out on the loan army that we've said before, or that just get moved about, because that does happen. But they need to have that bigger draw there. And that's why a lot of the money is kind of built there, that Wilfried Zaha almost becomes right, this is the last time we want this kind of thing to happen, where it's a bit of a battle and we have to rely on one great player. And so they'll want to sell him on for big money so that they can invest a load of money in more Wilfried Zahas, that then therefore becomes a healthier model. Because apart from, like, the only notable sales I can think of are Yannick Bolasie and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, because Bolasie went for like 27 million and Wan-Bissaka was whatever it was, 45, 50 add-ons, etc. And so when you don't have that as part of your model for developing your team, it means that you kind of start to stagnate. And so I think it's probably a last chance for Zaha. I'm happy to be wrong and see him playing, but if he goes and plays for PSG, I'll buy a PSG shirt, like with his name on the back, no fucking problem.
There you go. And this does seem like a good opportunity for Palace to do some stuff. 538 literally has them at 0% to make Europe, or to make the Champions League, and 0% to get relegated. So they're right in that middle area where it's like, we could do whatever we want and nothing matters.
So we're in the amorphous blob of shit. Like, we're literally the epicenter of nothing.
You are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, well, we're going to skip over most of the blob of shit at this point. I'll 5 seconds briefly mention Southampton in 14th place, only to say that they are 5 clear of Brighton and 7 clear of relegation, so they are not actually in the conversation at all, because they have so many teams that would have to catch up to them for them to fall down. But then that does bring us to the portion of the episode that is about teams that I know almost nothing about because I mostly ignore them, and that is the relegation teams. I'll kind of take these all together now, I guess, and just list. I'm not going to go too much into like who's where and their schedule and all that shit. They all have garbage schedules because they're all garbage teams.
Correct.
But Brighton, 19% for relegation. Watford, 25% for relegation. West Ham, 31% for relegation. And then the actual relegation zone as of right now, Bournemouth, 51% to go down. Yes. Aston Villa, 71% to go down. And Norwich, 95% relegated. But there are only 2 points separating Brighton in 15th with Bournemouth in 18th. So there's 3 clubs on 27, Brighton are on 29, and Villa, not that far behind, are on 25. So there's quite a few teams in that conversation.
Yeah. Do we have to have that conversation, or?
No, I don't know. Norwich are going down.
Well, let's talk about just how bad Brighton are, because that will make Chuck happy. Their form going into lockdown was appalling. And obviously, because as you've said, it's so many days without a win. But I mean, you've got to hope that they don't come out of lockdown raring to go, because they went into lockdown so shit. Just toothless attack. So dull to watch. Just so boring.
I think the issue is as well, is with how thick and fast the fixtures are. Like, I think a run of form either way could just get it could go very well very quickly, or very bad very quick.
Definitely.
Like, especially when you're looking at how tight the league is.
And the squad depth down there is not as high at all. Like, that's a much bigger issue.
It's day by day because of the fact that there are fixtures every single day. Like, your position can change. So, you could have what you think is like a really good result and like get a draw. Brighton could get a draw against whoever, and then with a game the next team's playing, and then they win and they catch up those points. Then all of a sudden those other teams get another win, and Brighton have got a game in hand, but now they're 2 points behind. You know what I mean? And it's that psychological thing of, fuck, it's just and fight to the rest of the season. So, I mean, I can't wait to see them get relegated, but I'd also really love Bournemouth to get relegated. So, and Watford, yeah. And there's probably about 4 teams that I'm happy.
The more W teams we can get rid of, the happier I'll be.
Yeah, better.
Too many of
you.
them.
Yeah.
It's really confusing.
I'm quite surprised you said West Ham are on 538 are 31% to get relegated. I mean, I know they're in the conversation, but they just old school just feel to me like a classic Premier League club.
Didn't
like
they get David Moyes
I'm
back?
surprised.
I feel like David Moyes is there again. Is
I
that a
will
thing?
say this from the model, just cursorily looking at the expectation numbers and the XG and the model and all that, just staring at the sheet in front of me. West Ham and Aston Villa are the only 2 teams in that conversation that have actually overperformed to be in that place.
Oh, God.
So
right,
I think that's
okay,
probably
yeah.
why the model, like West Ham on the expectation are on 25 points in 18th. And one honorable mention, not the relegation conversation,
Newcastle
I guess.
not getting bought again.
Newcastle, it is about Newcastle. It's not about them not getting bought. They are in 13th place on 35, very comfortably out of the relegation zone, but they are the worst team in the league according to the underlying numbers, so they get the cue the jingle.
Oh, they're better than they ought to be.
Burnley of the week.
Burnley of the season
So
pre-lockdown
far.
going into the new part of the season post-lockdown, because they should be in 20th on 22 points, and the expectation should be, being a loaded word, 13 points overperforming, which is why they are nowhere near the relegation conversation.
Asterisks. God, you love putting so many different categories on stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, when I say should, I already hear the anti-stats people going, what do you mean should? They scored the goal, they should have scored the goal.
We lost the anti-stats people a long time ago, don't worry about
I guess,
that.
fair enough. Fine.
But so Newcastle, based on expected points, would be bottom.
Bottom, yes, as you
Bottom.
said. I didn't mean to
Just
say
because I speak correctly.
Yes. That was fully by accident. But yeah, 20th place, 13 points less than they have right now. They're still somehow 4% to get relegated, despite being on 35 points, because they're so shit underlying that the model is like, I can't say 0. I can't say 0. They're so bad.
They scored 1 less goal than Palace. That tells you everything.
Yeah, Palace and Brighton are secretly like Freaky Friday body switched. Palace are on 39, but the expectation has them on 30.
How dare you?
Brighton are on 29, but the expectation has them on 38. So they're basically switched, which is delightful as fans of Palace and people who don't like Brighton in this room. 1 fan, 2 kind of, sort of, I guess, wish well on you.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's where we're at.
God, it's been delightful just to talk about football and the impending actual football happening. Amazing.
I can't wait.
Do you guys want to talk FPL a little bit? We did put up a poll for the club.
We
have
put
a
up a
wild
poll.
card.
We signed an executive order to bench boost, no matter what. So we put up some suggestions. The mixes in the teams are, spot which one is Oscar's.
Well, Chuck, the reason I have so many Chelsea players in my suggestion, which is currently winning, is because I've been doing some number shit because I'm bored. So I made an FPL model. I made a fixture tracker rater model thing. And we put that out. We shared it with the Patreons. So potentially if you want to get in on that, hop on the Patreon. Good time for that.
Yes, because someone forgot to not charge the Patreons, didn't they, Ian?
Good point. So, yeah, I didn't press the button that said don't charge the Patreons. And we charged the Patreons. Don't know how that happened.
Literally hours after a released episode saying we weren't going to charge you.
Yeah. So I've already pressed the button to make July free. So there's another free month now when there actually will be FPL pods and potentially other match analysis type things on the Patreon that you can get for free for another month because I fucked up. So yeah, you can get on patreon.com/milesoffsidepod. I've already done, my FPL pod was nearly 10 minutes long this week. I was so happy to be back. It was a lengthy one.
What she said.
It was a joyous thing. I just went through my bench boost team and talked about how great it was. Yeah, and there's going to be, Oscar, you were talking about potentially doing, because we got matches thick and fast, you were talking about potentially getting on and doing the odd sort of quick match analysis thing?
Yeah, maybe like a 5-minute thing. as the matches go, because we're going to be recording once a week, but 2 game weeks will have happened by then.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to
so there's going to be just so
cover
much.
every game. Yeah.
Yeah, so I might just drop like a 10-minute thing after the matches. I make no promises whatsoever.
No, absolutely, but that'd be fantastic. Yeah.
But yeah, every once in a while, especially if it's like a good game, I'll hop in and be like, oh my god, this happened, here's some numbers, here's some stuff.
Yeah, if Chelsea win and Pulisic scores, it will be 5 minutes of just USA chanting and Oscar cheering.
Yes, that is absolutely 100% correct. But yeah, there's a lot with the Patreon going on in July. We're going to be posting a ton of stuff. Like I said, I made those 2 models. One of them rates players as fantasy options, taking into account a bunch of different stats, and it basically just gives you a number of how good they are. And then the other one is the fixture rater that I made that then I applied to FPL to see which teams have the best seasons. It rates week by week their attack rating from -5 to +5. -5 is the worst possible matchup. + is the best possible matchup. But it rates the matchups for each team for every game week for both attack and defense, as well as an overall score for the entire fixture. So there's a lot of info there for people who want to jump in and just have that as a resource. I just did it because I was bored and I like doing stuff in spreadsheets because it's fun.
Spreadsheets.
But it is there, and people have already been kind of messaging and being like, this is really useful. Thank you. So another reason to hop on the Patreon. And the reason I have so many Chelsea players in my suggestion, because I just used the model to make a team. And the model loves Chelsea players because they're cheap, they have a great schedule, they're the 3rd best attack.
Yeah, but you made the model.
I made the model, but I did not look at like names. It's name blind when you're making it. That's how stats work. And then all of a sudden,
I do not believe you.
While we're talking about the Patreon, we have got a new patron. New patron, and I am going to butcher it. It looks Scandinavian.
Patreon.
Simen or Simen Norheim. Simon. Spelled S-I-M-E-N.
That's just
Simon.
That means
Just
there's
Simon.
more. There's just more of him. It's not one Simon. It's
it's
many
a plural of Simon.
Simon. Yes.
Okay. Simon Norheim comes in at the stats robot level, so he can get all those new pods. He can get on the Slack. He can get the models for the FPL. The only other thing he contributes to is another FPL podcast, so he's clearly a fantasy football player.
He loves it.
So get on board. Like.
Do we know what country he's from?
No, unfortunately not. So you can't Google how to say something in his language.
Well, I'm going to assume that he's Swedish because I already Googled it and I want to do this.
It'll be Norway. It'll be Norway because they
Norway?
love
Okay.
the FPL.
All right, I can
They're
change
all about
that
the
to
FPL.
Do you not remember from when you did Norwegian before?
Yeah.
I didn't actually learn it.
You didn't learn the language.
Clearly,
Fucking hell.
I can't pronounce any of the words.
Honestly. He might not even be Norwegian. I've just said it. But
All right, well, if he is, all I have to say is Hi og velkommen.
there you go. Lovely.
Hi og velkommen. That's actually pretty easy because it's words I know.
You need to. We do well in Norway. We do well in Malaysia as well, but you've never spoke any Malaysian.
Oh, I could fix that real quick.
No, we can't because it's time for fixtures. So much football is
Oh my
back.
God, there's fixtures.
Fixtures. Caveat, I said that there's football every day. Just realised there's no football on Thursday.
No, that's about the only day. the second day, there's no football. You already depressed just because there's one day off?
Yeah. This is ridiculous. They've just had how many days off? Why do they need another one?
They're one day into it and they're already backing off of their promises. They're letting us down, honestly. It's
Lazy.
Half jobs. Wednesday, the 17th of June. At 6, this is what's so great. Now I don't just have to say, the 3 o'clock games. Everything is on TV here. Everything. You can watch.
It's so good.
You can watch all of these games. All of them. We start off, of course, with
new world.
Aston Villa, Sheffield United. The fuck you playing at? 12 weeks of no football, and you give us. Sorry, go on, Ian. Yeah. From way up there, is it crystal clear?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, Aston Villa. Well, that sums it up. Then we get at 8:15. Interesting. Man City, Arsenal. Then Thursday, no football. Boo.
Boo, Thursday. Boo.
Friday, 19th of June, Norwich versus Southampton at 6 o'clock.
Boo,
Then
Friday.
Spurs,
Boo.
Man United at 8:15. Saturday, 20th of June, 2020. 12:30, Watford, Leicester, 3 o'clock. A 3 o'clock football game on telly. Brighton, Arsenal.
Never mind.
Like, all these first are killing us. Then West Ham Wolves at 5:30. At
Here we go.
7:45.
Here we
the
go.
First Premier League game
Ever.
in history to be shown on BBC Sport. And incidentally, this fixture was also the first Premier League game to ever be shown on Amazon Prime, and we won that one, is Bournemouth Crystal Palace. We also won that game with 10 men, so fuck you, Bournemouth.
He remembers.
Sunday,
He
20
never forgets.
Jeff Schlupp. Sunday, 21st of June, 2020. This is taking so long. Why can't they just all be at the same time?
You don't really need to do this. It's just a
Newcastle,
delight.
Sheffield United, then Aston Villa, Chelsea, then Everton, Liverpool in the friendly derby. And on Monday, 22nd of June, Man City, Burnley, but we'll be recording that day, possibly, and then the next day there's football, and do we preview that now, because we know the episode's not going to be out before, because then it's Leicester, Brighton, Spurs, West Ham, Man United, Sheffield United, Newcastle, Villa, Norwich, Everton, Wolves, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Palace, Burnley, Watford, Southampton, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City.
Yeah, there's games, yeah.
That's until Thursday. Then what? Oh, there's another day off.
Is there really?
Yeah, there's 2 days off in like 6 weeks. Yeah.
This is
Oh, fuck
outrageous.
that. I'm out.
Fuck this.
I'm done. I'm just not even going to watch.
There's just
Honestly.
football, guys. Watch football, love football, embrace it. Go down your little rabbit hole of your FPL team when you keep telling yourself, "No, I don't want to make that change," and stare at the screen for 17 hours straight. Just, it's back in our lives. It might get taken away again. Don't
Oh, it will. It definitely will. But enjoy it while it's here.
abuse it. Enjoy it while it's here. Consume all of it. Make the most of Sky Sports putting games on free to air. I don't know how that's going to work. Make sure watch the games on BBC, even if it is Palace. Watch the games on Prime Video, even if it is Palace.
Fucking hell.
It's Palace Burnley and Palace Bournemouth. Like, come on, BBC and Amazon. They really gave them the dead rubbers. But yeah, that's it. Football's back. Guys, peace. Is there anything else? No?
Terima kasih Malaysia kami sayang awak.
Cool.
I mean, thank you, Malaysia. We love you. In
We
Malaysian.
do. We have been top 10 in Malaysia. But...
And you guys say I'm shit at outros. Take care, ladies and gents. Bye-bye.
Miles Offside is a Nate Whittam production.